Andrew S. finally addresses his past tweets. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have the latest on what Andrew S. had to say about his past. But before we get into it, make sure, if you're not already, to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm your host, Gianna, and today I'm joined by the lovely Fiona and Hiba. You guys, Andrew S. is a Bachelor Nation favorite, so it was kind of shocking to hear about these tweets, but let's dive right into his apology. Reddit users recently uncovered a series of Andrew S.'s tweets from 2011 to 2014. The tweets contained misogynistic, fatphobic, and racially insensitive material. When asked about these tweets in an interview with Entertainment Tonight during the Men Tell All, Andrew S. immediately apologizes. He calls his past actions immature and says, quote, "I own it and I don't downplay anything about it." He also adds, quote, "I'm really sorry people had to see that side of me." He then goes on to explain that those tweets don't reflect the person who he is today and says, quote, "If my mom would have saw those tweets, she would have whooped my ass for sure." He ends the apology by expressing how he feels disappointed and embarrassed, but repeats that it's 1000% not who he is today. Fiona, do we accept his apology?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I know there's like a varying degree of people that are upset about this, right? Some people feel that it's so far in the past that, we saw who he was as a person and he's allowed to have grown from it. And other people, were really, really upset by it. I kind of fell into the camp of, I just like when people take accountability. I think back to some of the guys I hung out with in high school and the stupid stuff they would say constantly just to get a laugh or to, I don't know, try to be controversial, try to stir up some drama. And I know some of those guys still today, and they're completely different people. So if the people in my life could have evolved, grown up, and today be ashamed of their behavior in high school, I want to give him the same benefit of the doubt. I just want accountability, right? So to me, to hear him saying that that's not who he is, that he is ashamed of it, great. If he doesn't exhibit any behavior like this again in his present day current life, if he continues to not give us any reason to doubt that he has grown into the man that he is today and that this is in his past, then I do believe people should be allowed to grow up and leave the past in the past. If he gives us a reason to doubt him, then that's a different conversation. But right now, I haven't seen anything from Andrew S. that makes me believe when he says he's a better person, a more mature person, that he was in high school, that that's not the truth. But what about you, Hiba? What do you think?
I think it's really important that we have to keep in mind that these tweets were from 2011 to 2014, so almost 10 years ago. And it's hard because it's that tricky balance of yes, holding people accountable, but those things were said. But we also have to pay attention to the age that they were said, the time frame that they were said in, and the growth that we've seen now, especially since it is 10 years later and a little bit less than 10 years later, especially because it was from 2011 to 2014 as well. So I think as long as there is growth and accountability taken, that's all we can ask for. And how are we supposed to grow when we aren't called out for the past mistakes that we have made? We have to, of course, own up to them and learn. So I think that's the most important, crucial thing when it comes to finding people's dirty laundry and airing that out and finding old tweets and old posts and things like that too. I mean, a prime example is Rachel Kirkconnell. We definitely saw those pictures were a little bit more recent, which we understand. But again, she took the time to learn and get that knowledge and to grow. And I think that kind of situation relates to anyone that is kind of called out and has their dirty laundry aired out. I definitely think accountability is the main word in this type of context, as long as you are kind of taking it face forward and aren't shying away from those things that you did say and you did tweet or did post or whatnot. But as long as you are not shying away from it and just kind of facing it, I think that's the most important thing you can do and just grow and learn from it moving forward.
Exactly. I mean, you both make such great points. I don't know if either of you were on Twitter in 2011. I know I was. And all I can remember are just looking back horrible things. Like Twitter was a reckless place for people. And we also have to remember that was the time when social media was kind of on the rise. People weren't as educated. People weren't as aware of things that they were saying that may or may not have been offensive at the time. So, not excusing his actions, but it's like a typical occurrence. Of course, we're always going to have that one contestant that gets old tweets or something old resurfaced and that is not good in this era, but wasn't really looked at back in that year. So I think it's
Mhm.
absolutely amazing that he recognized what he was doing. I love the fact that he says his mom would have, killed him if she saw those as well, because he knew that they were wrong. And it just shows that he comes from a good place that he can look back and say those things about himself. But despite the tweets, Andrew S. is actually in the running to be the next Bachelor alongside Michael A. According to all of Bachelor Nation, even Katie said herself on the Off the Vine podcast that Andrew has got her vote. No one has officially been chosen yet, but in the meantime, Andrew may or may not have gotten the closure he needed last night during the Men Tell All. Of course, when saying hi to Katie, he brought back that charming, cute British accent and said, "Hello, my love." And she did bring up the question of what if they had more time, that clip that we've been seeing in teaser after teaser. And she also says that she has nothing but love and respect for him. He also tells Entertainment Tonight in that same interview that although the breakup was hard, he really is happy for Katie. So I'm curious, Hiba, what were your thoughts kind of watching Katie and Andrew S reunite for the first time since that crazy whirlwind of a breakup?
I mean, I felt for Andrew. I still felt so bad for him, especially, when he was in the hot seat and looking back on his journey and he was saying, like, heartbreak, it's a familiar feeling. I've been here before. And when Katie came out, I thought it was just a nice exchange that they had that, okay, even though it didn't work out, they still had that closure. They're on good terms. It wasn't a nasty breakup or super, blindsided at that point, in time. Katie did clear up, it was just really came down to time and her just having stronger relationships with the other contestants and the other men. So I think it was just, short, sweet, to the point, kind of again, put a bow on it, wrap it up, and just kind of let it be at that point. But again, we never know. We still don't know how Katie's season ended. We don't know if she left engaged with a boyfriend or single. So who knows? Maybe Andrew or Michael still might be on the table in real time now since the season has wrapped. So it's just really hard to say until we see the proof of how the season ends. So everything is still up in the air. But again, I'm still holding out for Andrew and just happiness in his future.
Exactly. I think we're all rooting for Andrew and his happiness and for him to find love. Now, Fiona, the interaction to me seemed a little off. Katie wasn't really herself. She seemed a little, I don't know how to put it. What did you think about how she was kind of talking to Andrew, especially given the circumstances of how they ended things?
I have to say, I think that Katie seemed a little off the entire night, right? So I don't necessarily think that Andrew was stirring up anything super specific in her. She seemed a little anxious, a little on edge. We didn't see that much of her. If you really think about it, in that special, we only got a little taste of Katie. I think that she struggled in that setting to face all of those guys at once. You only have a couple of seconds there to really say what you want to say. I feel like
Mhm.
Andrew's breakup really did just air. If you think about it, it was the episode, previous to the one we saw this week. And I think that she's probably struggling a little bit, right? With how to take all of that raw emotion, the back and forth that we saw between them in that episode when he went home, and then see him sitting on that stage. So much time has passed. What do you say? Knowing that whatever comes out of your mouth is going to be analyzed for so many different reasons, and actually trying to genuinely get some maybe more closure with the person sitting there. It's a really tough position to be in. So I do think she seemed a little bit off. I would chalk it up to nerves. And I do think that at the end of the day, they've gotten a lot of closure, all things considered. They got to really have a solid goodbye from what we saw on the show. And once again, they got to reiterate to each other that this wasn't a waste of time, that they do care for one another, and that they have nothing but good thoughts for each other. And I think that's great. So hopefully it was just nerves and nothing else. But I do agree with you. There was something odd there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in my opinion, the whole Men Tell All was off in and of itself. So everything you're saying is definitely valid. It could have been just nerves. It could have been whatever was happening behind the scenes. We'll never know. But Andrew S. actually, in this same Entertainment Tonight interview, goes on to say a lot more about Katie that I kind of wish he said to her right on that stage. He also reveals that after Katie asked him to stay and he said no, he debated for weeks if he made the right decision or not as he went home. He says he ultimately did make the right decision because the first breakup was hard enough, and Katie told him that she had stronger connections with the other guy, so it wouldn't make sense for him to throw himself into that situation just for him to be behind everyone else. He also says that his note, if you remember, that he left for Katie after he got sent home, that said, "If you change your mind, I'll be waiting," actually meant that he didn't want to do the Bachelor process anymore. So he was open to continuing the relationship outside of the show. He was just kind of done being on camera, continuing their relationship for the whole world to see. And he actually ends the interview by saying he thinks him and Katie need to talk just to see where her head is at. So, okay, Fiona, I know I just threw a lot at you, but after hearing all of this, do we think that Andrew still has those strong feelings for Katie?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that it's really interesting because we saw it on the stage with Michael A and then off stage in an interview with Andrew. These are two guys that made really, really strong connections with her. And it wasn't necessarily for them about losing those feelings, it was about not being able to continue on with the show. I mean, Andrew was given the opportunity to stay to try to battle it out. But in a reality TV setting, when you already know that there are guys ahead of the game from you, of course you're not going to continue to put yourself in a position to potentially get hurt and potentially get hurt in front of all of America, right? So he closes the door with Katie on The Bachelorette, much like Michael A did, but that door seems to be wide open for both of them potentially in real life. I think what it's really going to come down to is what we don't know yet, right? Is Katie in love? Does Katie have a ring on her finger? Like, is she happy? Because if she is not, there are at least two guys out there who still care about her, who still believe that there was something between them and might, right? If the timing is right, if she's healed, if she's gotten closure from these other relationships, they might be open to exploring things with her. So obviously, I totally agree. Like, I wish he would have said more of this to her on the stage. But even if he did, she wouldn't be able to give a truthful answer right now. So I'm just curious, for more reasons than one, of course, how this finale is going to play out, what's really going on with Katie behind the scenes right now. And maybe down the line, we'll see her reconnect with some of these guys. Who knows?
I mean, everything you just said, absolutely yes. We have to remember that dating on a reality show is not the easiest, right? I mean, you have cameras in your face, you don't have that much time, you're kind of rushing, and then it's going to end in a marriage. Like, The Bachelor,
Yeah.
Bachelorette is a crazy show if you really think about what actually goes on behind the scenes. And we'll never know exactly unless one of us is on it. Maybe that'll happen. Who knows at this point? But yeah, I think they need to have a conversation, Andrew S. and Katie themselves, behind closed doors, no cameras, no people analyzing every word that they say, and maybe something will come out of it. But yeah, it all depends on, is Katie married or not? Because as you said, Fiona, which is a great, great point, she definitely has options if she didn't end up finding somebody at the end. But I think that once this whole show slows down, once everything comes to a final end, then we're really going to see, where, if she doesn't end up with someone, where her relationships do continue, which relationships continue to blossom, and then she'll have an opportunity to actually talk to these men outside of it. But Hiba, in terms of Andrew S., do you think, after hearing, everything that he had to say, do you think maybe he likes Katie a little bit more than she ended up really having feelings for him?
I think there could have been mixed signals of who might have liked the other person more. It does seem like Andrew is willing to fight for Katie, and Katie, I mean, upright just eliminated him. I mean, she did have that moment where she second guessed herself and, invited him back. So I think there's just a lot of things that those two need to talk about and kind of hash out and discuss as far as really what their feelings are for each other. Because Andrew kind of backtracked, went to the next day to get that closure, which was great. But then Katie also backtracked, to invite him back into the season. And Andrew also left the note too. So it's a little wishy-washy right now, and I know that the relationship isn't something that is, clean, black and white. There will be some gray area, and I think they have a lot of gray area, which is why they need to kinda, sit down, like you mentioned, without the cameras and just really have it heart to heart and really figure out where both their heads are at. But it does seem like Andrew is willing to fight for Katie just a little bit more than Katie is willing to fight for him. Because if Katie was fighting for him, he'd still be there. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. So it just seems like there's a lot of just different feelings and timing not working out and timing and then needing more time. So it just seems like a really complicated equation of just what the relationship is and what it could have been. But I think the first step we have to kind of figure out to even have this conversation period is to know whether how this season ended, whether Katie's engaged, single, or again has a boyfriend. Then these conversations of Andrew being back in the picture or Michael being back in the picture can finally be had. We just have to get through this season and then we can have these, conversations and then these opportunities will be on the table. So I just always thought that she had the best chance with either Andrew or Michael, and neither of them are in the competition. So I really don't know who Katie is gonna end up with as far as what contestants are still left in this journey. So it's gonna be a really interesting conclusion to her season, and we'll just have to stay tuned as always.
Of course. It's so hard. Everything you just said, I totally agree with you. And we're just really going to have to wait to see how the rest of the
Yeah.
season plays out. So that is all we have for you guys today. But we want to know all of your thoughts about Andrew S. in the comments below. How do you think Katie's season is going to end? We will keep you updated on how it ends. But in order to find out, you have to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos because we will be covering all of that. If you want to give us a follow, our social handles are on the screen right now. Come say hi. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you next time. Bye.